Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Chillin with Dylan, episode 10 is back. Chillin with Dylan, sports, music, and life. Lots been going on, so I appreciate everybody who has been supportive so far. I've got a very special guest with me today. I've got my brother over here, Michael Ashley, who currently plays basketball at Fisk University, also recently graduated, and is doing a lot of great and amazing things right now as he's in his pursuit of his master's. So I'm very happy to have you here, Mike. Thank you for coming on board. Much
Thanks.
appreciated.
Happy to be here.
Hey, much love, bro. And to give a little context, I met Mike at a career event at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Gosh, why my voice sounded so raspy? I met Mike at a career event at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium back in 2023, and we had a really good conversation. We were just really building and politicking, and 2025 here, still rocking. So glad we've been able to keep in touch. And next time I'm in town, we definitely got to link up.
So,
all right. So to start off, how old were you when you first started playing basketball?
I was about 10, 11 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, late bloomer.
Okay. Was there another sport that you played prior to that?
Mostly baseball was my
Really? Wow. Okay. And now with baseball, was that something that you had wanted to like potentially like play in college, or was it just something you did for fun?
I just did it because my granddad, he grew up playing baseball. He's a Hall of Famer at ALL University, played in the Negro League. So he always strive me to play baseball. But I've always had like a little basketball hoop in my house when I was like a little kid. But baseball was like my first heart right there.
Man, that's awesome. I mean, the very first interview I did on Chilling with Dylan, I did it with a homie of mine named Lorenzo Peterson, and he plays baseball. He's a pitcher, and we briefly talked about like, because I know you're 24,
23.
23. Okay, so still like we're not too far in age, but like growing up, remembering when there were Black baseball stars, people like Ken Griffey Jr., Barry Bonds, Derek Jeter, like just that era. And like baseball was still a thing for like young Black boys to partake in. And then now it's sadly not like that anymore. And basketball and football is so much more popular. But that's dope that you had that experience. And then also that your grandfather's a Hall of Famer from the Negro League. That's like huge history. That's awesome. So do you, in today with basketball, do you incorporate any of the, kind of the training or the technique from baseball into your basketball?
Nah, not really. Not really at all. Mostly with my basketball training, I implement like football training in there mostly, but really nothing from baseball.
I feel that. Who's your favorite baseball team?
Of course, the Braves.
Okay. Respect. I can't be mad at it. You can't be mad at it. I'm a Yankees fan. So y'all got a nice team though. He was like, man, I ain't trying to hear it. I feel it though. I feel it. So when I was doing a little bit of research, I saw that you have three sisters. You got a sister named Lauren, sister named Heather. That's my mom's name as well, and then Morgan. Now,
Yeah.
what was it like being the only boy growing up in a household of all girls?
So they're my half sister. So I didn't grow up with them.
Oh, okay.
With them, I was the only child my whole life.
Oh, wow. Well, so what was that like? Because I was an only child for a bit, and then my sister came in the picture, and then the rest was history.
So like it was really cool to be honest with you. Like those relationships I grew up like playing AAU, like with some of those guys, they used to come over to the crib all the time. So those really my brothers. So it was really never an empty household. Basically, I will always be at someone else's house or they'll be at my house.
I feel that. That's can't blame can't describe like just the feeling that when you're building that brotherhood with your teammates. It's you go to war with those guys, and At that point, y'all forever locked in. So that's awesome. Um, and I was reading your bio. Like Mike is your favorite movie.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite movies ever. Like when I would tie my shoes before games, I'd always say, "Make me like Mike," or whoever the shoe was. I'd be like, make me like AI or make me like T Mac. Um, what's your favorite scene in that movie?
My favorite scene is him literally when his shoes got ripped up on the court, and he said, "Man, I just want to be just a regular kid." After that, when his superpowers went away, because I felt that. I really
Yeah.
felt that. Because sometimes I feel like I wanted to be like a regular kid, not playing sports and nothing, just chilling around with the fam on the block and everything like that.
That's very interesting one that's your pick, but that's also a very interesting perspective because um, in the last interview I did it with a teammate of mine from high school. Went on to be my boy Alex. He went on to be a 4-star recruit, and he was even saying he got to a point in his collegiate career where he was just checked out. He was like, "Yo, let me get an injury," and it's like stuff like that. Like it sounds crazy, but like when you have given so much of your life to sports, sometimes it feels like, man, like, but what else is out there? What else can I do?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I get that. Okay. Now to briefly stay on the basketball movies, what's your basketball movie top 5? If you got one.
So I got Like Mike #1,
Okay. I like that.
Coach Carter #2,
Oh, that's okay. Okay. I think we low-key got the same list. Okay.
Space Jam #3,
Wait, OG or new one?
OG, of course, that new one was.
Okay, all right, all right, all right. Okay, 3. That's a good one.
I got Hurricane Season #4.
Hurricanes? My man. That is my movie. Shout out to Forrest Whitaker. That's a great movie.
And
That's a great.
what was the last movie with Tupac in it? I
You
forgot the
talking
name.
about Above the Rim?
Yeah, Butter Rim 5.
Ooh, that's a cold 5. That's a cold starting 5 right there. Okay. I see you. Okay, all right. That's all right. Well, as soon as you said hurricane season, I'm like, yo, that's a deep cut. You got to really have been like hooping to watch that.
Season that's my movie.
Bro, that I feel like that movie gets so underrated because it came out right after Coach Carter.
And
And
nobody.
everybody, I mean, like Coach Carter is an amazing, like 10 out of 10 movie. But Hurricane Season, like, that's that movie too.
Oh,
And when they had the pink jerseys, because oh boy, his laundry machine messed up.
I really figured it out because my little bro, he from New Orleans, and so when Hurricane Katrina hit, he was still there. So he
Oh,
was
wow.
saying, he was telling me all about the stories about how like that was actually like real, like with those teams and everything. I was like, bro, I gotta check it out.
No, yeah, that was like a story that if you was around and you was like around like the hoops culture, you knew about. And I was always like, who's the guy that Bow Wow played? Because they had Bow Wow, they had my son, he was playing like Rondo in that movie. That dude was just getting dimes left and right. But
Yeah.
okay, okay. Um, now I saw as well, pizza is your favorite food.
Oh
Now is
yeah,
that do you eat it as a post or a pregame meal?
post
Okay, that's
because
fair.
I eat a lot, so I'm getting about 2 or 3 boxes. I'm killing all three of those really right there.
Wow. Yo, I thought I was a different beast. But you hey, you at another level. Okay, okay. So what's your custom pizza?
So pepperoni, sausage, and spinach.
Ooh, okay. You know what? The spinach is underrated because if it's like kind of smoked,
Yeah.
it has a little something. Okay, that's dope. That's dope. All right, now on a little bit more serious stuff, but there's just gonna be questions on here that are just more like more fun. So obviously grew up in Atlanta, Georgia. You played ball at North Atlanta High School, which is famous for producing alumni in the entertainment industry like Jonte Austin, Jasmine Guy, Bobby V. What was that experience like for you? Because I know it's a very competitive school and in a very competitive school district in Buckhead.
Yeah. It was real cool growing up, going to high school. It was like it felt like a little. I got the college scene early because at that school, it's about thousands of kids there. You
Yeah.
got people from all over Atlanta. Really, you got like celebrity kids going there, or you got like the rich kids going there. So it really just felt like one of those movies, like Zoe 101, like or like just all that stuff. Like it really felt like a
Okay, okay. That's dope though that you got to have that experience because it probably prepared you for what was to come next. Who's uh who's the best hooper that you played against coming up in Atlanta?
uh. I'll probably say in the AU we played against Anthony Edwards. You know, we played against Ant a couple times before. I played on that team a couple times, but when I played with Team Force, we played against Leonard Select, and it was Anthony Edwards for sure.
What was it like? What was it like playing against him? And did you get to like actually guard him, or you were?
Yeah, it was. He's just a dog. Like he just had a motor. Like he just kept going at you. He didn't talk smack at the time like he does now, but he he just kept going at you.
I feel that. I feel that. Yeah, I have a couple of friends who also uh trained at like some of the same gyms and then also AAU, and they all have different ant stories. But it's funny because like I say like him and Jalen Brown definitely are representing Atlanta hoops incredibly well,
Yeah,
and I love watching both of them. Those are both like very high up for me. As a Celtics fan, I'm biased, but but I love watching them both because they do carry that Atlanta attitude into their hoops.
yeah,
Yeah, I feel, and I'm like you know it better than you know it you know. Now on another lane, and I feel like this was like something I was like, I don't know how much he's been asked about this, but I found this very interesting. And then back to more basketball. Um, but it said that you're able to play 5 instruments.
yeah.
Which ones and which was your favorite?
So I played mostly every brass instrument. So I can play the tuba, trombone, euphonium, trumpet, and I can also play a saxophone, alto sax.
My bad, yo. All right. It's settled. It's settled. We yeah. We got a link next time I'm in the A.
Is
No,
that
that's I played alto as well. So as soon as you said that, I was like, yo, I hope he plays alto. I'm like, that's that's just one of those like them real thorough instruments that when you play it, like you like, yeah, I'm that guy. Like don't play with me. But okay. What's your favorite instrument out of all those to play?
tuba for sure?
Really?
Yeah, I love playing the phone.
That's awesome. Now, did you ever at any point think about playing in like band while you were in college, like marching band, anything like that?
I had a couple of scholarships for band outside of like with for basketball and football, but I had some band scholarships.
That's awesome though. Yeah, because like when I think about like players who were good at band, I always think about Vince Carter. Like a lot of people don't know that Vince Carter had a bunch of offers to be in marching band while he was a top recruit in basketball. So that's dope that you had that experience because it's like, it's two very different worlds. So that's awesome. So I saw that you were named musician of the year. So like it ain't just like, oh yeah, I play a little tune. Like you was Himothy with that tuba, you know what I'm saying, in the brass section.
Right.
While you were in high school. How did that moment of recognition feel? And what's the difference between being recognized in music and being recognized in sports for you?
It's kind of the same for me, especially in high school, because I took music from like ninth grade to 11th grade kind of serious until my senior year. But when Mr. Brooks had told me and gave him me my award on stage, I was like, oh wow, it's unreal. I can't believe that.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Now, what? Because you mentioned how like you had the inspiration in your family from your grandfather being in the Negro League that inspired your love for baseball. What inspired your love for music?
That's a great question. I'm not sure. I call myself like an oldie, like an old head. So like, let's listen to like the music from like the 50s and 60s, like hearing how the instruments used to play back then. I was always just it always just stuck to me.
That's awesome, though. That's awesome. Now, what's you mentioned liking older music. What's your favorite type of music to listen to, and what's your favorite music to play?
Both is hip hop, honestly. Yeah,
I respect that. I respect that.
love R&B.
Okay, okay, all right, all right. Now, I saw Freestyle, the classic song by Lil Baby, is said to be your favorite song. Is he your favorite rapper right now?
No, it's Future's my favorite rapper right now.
Oh, okay. All right. All right. All right. What's your favorite Future album?
That's tough.
What kind of catalog?
Dirty Sprite for sure. When he first Up and Up album, but I feel like my favorite Future song would be Magic though.
Ooh. Okay. You going up, you going like turn off the lights era Future.
Yeah,
Okay.
that might no that was my favorite album right there with all those songs with Magic, Tony Montana, all that right there. That was,
Yeah. Okay, okay. All right. So you go OG Future. I respect that. I asked everyone from Atlanta because one of my friends was like, the way you could tell somebody is like a native or a transplant is like what's their favorite, like when you ask them with certain Atlanta artists, like who's their favorite, you know. So okay, that's a really good choice though. Who's your Atlanta top five? I know you got one. I know you got a list.
of all time, we're just like right now for
All
me.
time. Yeah, all time. Like just of like top, like if you was like, if you had to pick five Atlanta rappers, you like, I'm gonna listen to them for the rest of my life, who would they be?
So I'm gonna do two lists.
Okay.
This the for like this the general. You got Outkast, of course,
Yeah,
Ti, Jeezy,
oh man.
the you got Future and Gucci, but my five favorite of all time from Atlanta, of course, Future, Baby, Gunna, Jeezy, and Ti.
Hey, look. Either way, both lists are fire though. I respect that, and I like the versatility because each and everybody that you listed doesn't
Yeah,
sound all the same. They all got different, and but I think that's also like you having a musical ear. You hear different things when you're listening to music versus people who haven't. So I respect that. Respect. So all right, now back the ball. I was just like, a little something different. Or actually no. You know what? To stay though, real quick. Um, how do you feel like, because basketball is a sport that is very, I would say it's very artistic, more than people really give credit for and even realize. But there's a lot of poetry that's out there when you're playing, doing certain footwork, certain moves. How do you best incorporate your love of basketball and music together?
so when I first started finding my true love of music and actually knew how to read music, hearing the when you drill that basketball a certain type of way and it hits the ground a certain way, and you feel like you're doing your combos, if you really making music on the court. Like that's my whole thing. And making that shot the all net, you really just making music while you're playing ball.
I like that answer. Nah, and I 100% agree. That's why I say like I love football. Football is my favorite sport to watch, but with basketball, there's so much art to it, and that's why like the skill is so important because you got to be like a composer. You know what I'm saying? You're putting together that perfect symphony, that perfect musical piece. So
Yeah.
I that's dope that you even mentioned that. That's real dope. So okay, so still staying on the ball. So you first committed to playing college ball at Curry College, which was a D3 university up in Milton, Massachusetts. How much of a culture shock was it for you to go from an environment like Atlanta to Milton?
It was a huge culture shock. Very huge. I was probably like the only black kid in all my classes, and it was probably like I can count to like at least 20 people on that campus that were black as well.
Dang. Okay. I feel that. Yeah, that's a lot to go from because Atlanta is, especially like I know North is very black. Like
Yeah.
that just to put it straight up, that's a very black area. So to go from that to like, man, I could count all of us in, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, that makes sense. But I mean, you still were able to make an immediate impact there. You as a freshman, you averaged, around 8.7 boards, a block, and a steal on 51% field goal percentage. What would you attribute that early success to coming out of high school and being able to compete?
So I really get that from Dikembe, rest in peace. So he was my old coach and slash uncle. So he literally just told me like this, be that hustle guy once you get to college, so you can go ahead and start right away. Because most freshmen don't start as a freshman. So I started mostly all those games just because what he said, be the hustle.
That's awesome. And I didn't even know that you had a connection with the Dikembe Mutombo, but rest in peace. Definitely one of the greatest defensive big men of all time. No, that's iconic forever,
There.
forever. What uh, what other NBA players were impactful or inspirational to you, and that you maybe even modeled your game after?
Uh, I would say like Charles Barkley, Dennis Rodman. On the offensive, yeah, basically Charles Barkley, Dennis Rodman, because I've always been a hustle guy because of like football, because I've always been a hustle guy playing football. So that's really it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you're a real student of the game because I mean, Dikembe, Rodman, Barkley, all those brothers could play defense
Yeah.
and very well, and they were very physical, you
Mm.
know. So I respect that. I respect that. As a lover of NBA history, like that's music to my ears. But that's awesome though. Okay. Now you were a public health and wellness major while you were at Curry College, and I know now um, when you got over to Fisk, you transitioned to business management. What do you feel like you're still going to at some point incorporate the health and wellness, or is that just something that you're like,
At
no?
first, be like a veterinarian or a sports agent. Not sports agent, but be sports medicine. But
Okay,
now, after all that work I had to do, I was like, I can't do that.
I feel that. I feel that. It's funny you mentioned the sports medicine because I got into a college. I mean, I got into a high school, a magnet school for sports medicine, and I thought I was going to one day become like either a sports trainer or a physical therapist. So that's it's. I feel like a lot more people who are involved with sports though have an interest in sports medicine because it is
Yeah.
a dope. But that's awesome. Okay. So you ended up transferring to the College of Staten Island, staying up north, a D2 university up in Staten Island, New York. What drew you to that opportunity?
So our coach at Curry, he was leaving, and with me already not liking the school, because I was already going to look to transfer. So we had played that school that year because our coach was from Staten Island.
Okay.
It was like a little invite. So they were very interested in my game. They wanted me to come up there. So I said, sure, I'll go up there and play, you know?
That's history. I feel it. I feel it. Now, given that, like that's a whole different, vibe and experience. But I saw that you only got to play 11 games. Did you guys the season get shut down because of COVID, or was it other things going on in the division?
So I only played half a semester there.
Mhm.
I had transferred after the second semester due to like some stuff they had me taking class as a freshman when I wasn't supposed to be doing that. So
Oh,
it kind of messed up a lot of things. So I was like, I don't feel like just being here no more. I really wanted to like just say forget school, but thank God that Kenny Anderson told me to come to Fisk. So I transferred to Fisk right after that.
I was just about to say because third time was the charm, and now you were where you were meant to be. Transferred to Fisk University. in Nashville, Tennessee, which is one of the most important HBCUs in history, as it was the first HBCU to gain accreditation by the Southern Association of Colleges and Schools, and it's the graduator of the most African American students with PhDs. Now, you mentioned Kenny Anderson, talking about Georgia Tech, New Jersey Net, Kenny Anderson.
Yes, sir.
Jeez. Okay, all right, like that. I like that. Like that was a very like subtle, like
Yeah.
but okay. So having a legend in your corner like that, what else drew you to Fisk? But him giving, I know he gave you some of that inspiration as well.
So really, my cousin Tannis, she hits Lily when I was in high school. She said, "You gotta apply to Fisk. You gotta go to Fisk. You gotta go to Fisk," because she loves Nashville and Fisk. I was like, "All right, fine." And then I got invited to watch them play against Morehouse one game, and me and Kenny were talking about it, talking about playing up there. I was like, "Okay, cool." So I was like, "This, go ahead and just send me the information about it, and then I'll go ahead and apply." So then a couple weeks later, they accepted me, so I went straight up there.
That's awesome, man. That's dope. I mean, it's like it's crazy. Like with your life, you've been able to adjust, adapt, and be able to pivot. And that footwork, right? That's and then just like the poetry of things. What do you attribute that to? Because not everybody can constantly move and be the new kid and make their footing.
So I, growing up, I went to a couple of elementary schools. I went to about like 3 elementary schools, and also like having to move from neighborhood to neighborhood growing up and being the only child. So that really helped me a lot just to be able to adjust.
Sure, for sure. Now, what would you say is the biggest difference competitively? Because you've been able to play D3, D2, and now you're in the NIA. What would you say is the biggest competitive difference with those particular conferences and leagues?
So I would say like D3, D2, they play like more slow, less physical, but NAI is a bunch of like old guys and what a lot of D1 bounce backs basically who played good at the Division One level but had to go to NAIA because of grades and stuff like that. But like the average age, especially in my conference, the HBCU conference, this like 24 years old.
Oh wow.
There's really grown men out there really playing ball. So it's like
Wow.
very physical.
Well, I mean, you as a player, that's your wheelhouse right there. So I know that ain't nothing too hard for you. Now going also though from you went. Oh my gosh, yeah, I probably should have some water with me. But you went from a you went from a small, predominantly white college, and then you went to a SUNY university. It was yeah, because it was state. So you went to a SUNY university. Now being at an HBCU, what would you? How would you describe your HBCU experience so far?
It's been wonderful so far. It's been. I don't see nothing wrong. The only difference is like the facilities is different from the other schools because they have newer buildings up there than we do. We have like the older buildings. We don't have like an athletic trainer on deck every day. We don't have air conditioning in the gym, so it's just and with HBCUs you got to get it how you live, and that makes you like a tougher person.
That's facts. That's facts. I mean, at Clark, they would tell us the model that we had was find a way or make one. And to that whole aspect of getting in how you live, it's real character building, but it does teach you to appreciate everything. Now, being a part of now you graduated last year, which congratulations, I'm saying salute another black man with a degree. Got to give you your props and flowers on that. Um, and you got your degree in business management, and you're currently a grad student in pursuit of your master's in executive leadership. Uh, I- oh,
I'm sorry, you good?
yeah, I didn't want to interrupt anything. But how many more years do you have of your master's program, and what are some of like your long term goals with your skill sets you've acquired?
So I graduate in December with my master's, and
Okay,
that I want to first off I'm going to come back and coach at Fisk, be assistant coach.
okay,
after that, I want to start my own gym back here in Atlanta. Also, I want to become a sports agent and become a just like a coach on a regular job, like start my own AAU team and everything like that.
Yo, that's fire. Hey man, yo, you got a plan. I really hope, hey, look, if you build a gym, hey, I definitely would love to come by and shoot some buckets, man. That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, what would you say influenced your love of coaching? Because you had when we were communicating, you mentioned that you been doing some coaching, you've been doing some basketball teaching.
So that's based on my granddad too. He was the man in Jacksonville. He's a Hall of Famer coach down there in the city of Jacksonville, Florida. He coached football, basketball, baseball, track as well. Hall of Famer coach for track is for sure. So he's been doing that for a long time.
We back like we never left. So you were saying you said your uncle or your Jack
Granddad, my mom.
granddad. Okay, that's right. That's right. Okay, wow. I mean, shoot. So there's you come from a legacy clearly of some very historical impacting, older black men. That's awesome though. That's awesome within the world of sports. That's awesome. Now, being a part of being so you're both part of a rich legacy within your own family, but then you're also part of a rich legacy at Fisk, with legends like W.B. Du Bois, John Hope Franklin, Nikki Giovanni, John Lewis, Wade H. McCree, Diane Nash, Hazel O'Leary, Ida B. Wells. How does it feel to be a part of that? And how important was that for you when you made the decision to go to an HBCU?
It feels great knowing that something that I stood up for, like that I know I would have stood up for back in those days. It feels great because I feel like I had the same look and output on things that they went through, and that I would have went through as well. And right now, it's just I would always tell that just because Fisk is just like a younger school, I mean a smaller school now, but back then Fisk was the school to go to.
Right.
So I will always keep that in mind for everybody and try to push like kids forward, because just it's not what you how it looks. It's just it's how it is in the future wise. If you graduate with a degree from Fisk, that takes you a long way.
Absolutely.
And people don't know that. They always talk about the Howards, the FAMU's, Clark Morehouses, and all that stuff. Those are great schools, but
Shout out to Clark.
Fisk is really one of those ones.
No, for sure. I mean, I didn't know about HBCUs at the level that I do now until like I want to say sophomore year of high school, maybe going in junior year. Um, but I after like the more because I always like I watched the HBCU Classic on BET. Um, I would see like schools like Jackson State, FAMU. You mentioned. Um, and just seeing just how like the culture and how rich it was and just also the history it did something in me internally, and it had me be like, okay, like I want to be a part of that too. Now obviously looking at the landscape of things, we're in a time where they're removing black history from the school systems, even in Atlanta school districts that are historically and well known for being very black.
Mm.
In your opinion, and especially now that you're fully as an HBCU student, how important do you think the education of our culture and history is for our youth?
It's very huge because if if the teachers aren't going to teach, then who will? Like this, if we're just hearing it from our parents, as kids, you're not going to believe it. So like hearing it from a teacher and like how she would teach, he or she would teach in the classroom to everybody, then it would make it more sense. And it's just sad that they're trying to take that out of the school system because they barely taught us while we were growing up. Like most of the times, I found my research on really on in movies and documentaries. Like Selma, when that movie came out, I didn't know about that. The Butler, thing, things, stuff like that. Like it's just
No,
sad.
that's real. Yeah, I remember because I'm like only a few years older than you, but I remember I was in AP history. So I got exposed to more Black history stuff than any other Black students that I went to school with. But if it wasn't for my parents, if it wasn't for different OGs in my corner giving me books, giving me documentaries to watch, and I just had to rely on the school system, there's a lot of information that you lose the context of, and then you also just don't get. So I'm glad you feel that way. Now, you being an athlete, right? That adds a whole nother layer to it because athletes are very visible and influential within our community. And a lot of kids grow up, myself included, and I'm sure you as well, but grew up wanting to play pro sports. How important do you feel it is for Black athletes to use their platforms in supporting the betterment of the Black community?
It's it's very huge for us to pave the way because we don't. Most of us didn't have the resources growing up. So with us trying to make it out and making it out and being college athletes, we can bring our knowledge back onto the youth, so, which would help them out, help them grow up and put a different life into their head.
For sure, for sure. And I mean, I know there's a lot of, I'm sure there's kids who you probably came into contact with that seeing that genuineness from you, you know, hopefully they recognize that you're paying it forward.
There we go. Can you repeat that for me?
Yeah, you good. I was gonna say, with you having moved around so much since you left high school, what's been your favorite place to live, and why would you say so?
Nashville. I would say that because this really it kind of almost feels like home because with Fisk we got Meharry right across the street, then we got Tennessee State across the street. So with those big Black schools right there, it just feel like back home.
That's awesome. Now, as a Southerner, because
Yeah,
I know y'all got a whole different like category criteria, but how different would you say is the culture in Nashville versus Atlanta?
I feel like this like Nashville's like white Atlanta. I, so it's like the people like still like act the same, especially like the Black people. Like especially like when in our own little community up there and on like on Jefferson Street. So I feel like it's kind of the same because we
Okay.
live cause like HBCUs are in the hood, so we live right
Yeah,
down.
man. Clark is right on the west side. As soon as you step off campus, you right in Bankhead. So yeah, I get that. Okay. Now, as an ATL native, though, you spent a lot of time up north. What would you say is the biggest difference between up north hooping in Massachusetts and New York versus down south in Georgia and Tennessee?
Also like hooping wise, they try to like dribble way too more, try to be flashy and shit. I mean, it's not my fault. But like down here, we like we try at you like we trying to get up under your skin, like we trying to press up on you, everything. We got like a little flashy with our game, but we like to bark at you. Yeah.
I, and I respect that answer because I was going to say, like, with you having a mentor like Kenny Anderson in your ear, I mean, he was one of the greatest street point guards of his day and has some of the coldest handles ever. But then having someone like Dikembe who, had a huge impact in Atlanta, that hard nosed mentality, like there's two very different like personalities and styles. So that's awesome though. But you're not wrong. I mean, I could say as someone who was born in New York City and that was the culture that I still very much was immersed in as a kid. Coaches used to get pissed with me because I'd be and they'd be like, pass the ball, do something with it. I'll be like, oh, y'all ain't seen this one. And I got benched a lot of times because I was showboat too much.
Mm-hmm.
So that you're not wrong. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. But that's funny though. So your first season at Fish, you come in, you make an immediate impact. You average 8 points and 9 boards, and you earn a spot on the GCAC All Tournament team. Did you take that same advice that Dikembe had told you and Kenny Anderson, or was there other things that you had incorporated that was able to get you to have that early success at a new school? Oh, excuse me, at the new school.
It was basically this. I just kept hearing back what Dikembe was saying, and what Kenny was telling me here and there, but it was basically the same stuff. Nothing really changed at all.
I feel that. I feel that. Now, you were able to the season after that. You improve statistically. You get average a little bit more over 8, but now you're averaging 9, pushing 10 rebounds. What would you attribute your success in just further success on the glass?
I just know that at my size and how I am, like no one can out rebound me. Honestly, I just feel that each way. Like I feel like if I was like 6'8", like all these other guys I got a guard, then I'll probably average like 20 rebounds a game.
Okay. Now, because that's also something I did want to ask too. Like at 6'5", you know, you mostly played like quote unquote out of position your entire time in college, but you can play guard, forward, center. What would you say is your favorite position to play?
I'll say forward because I'm not a guy like who likes to dribble a lot. Like this, do my jab step, quick 1-2, go to the rim or jump shot right there. So I'll say forward.
I feel that. I feel that. Now, this year you were on a tear. You averaged career highs all across the board, averaged 12 a game, 12 boards, a steal, on 48% shooting, 36% from three, 72% from the free throw line. And you were named to the All HBCUAC Defensive Team. What clicked for you differently? Because, like, I mean, like you were making those strides and improvement, but you like leaped and went even further.
So I had made a goal for myself that I want to be the first player to have 1,000 points, 1,000 rebounds at Fisk. And we had a new coach this year, Jeremiah Crutcher, and we had a whole new team really. So I feel like this year was my year to take that leap, and that's what I did.
Well, to speak to that, and congratulations on getting 1,000 points and 1,000 rebounds. That's not an easy milestone. How did it feel to achieve that?
It felt great, honestly. And when I did have my family there on senior night, and when I get the 1,000 rebounds, and the next night after that, Greek night when I had my other family, we got the 1,000 points, so it felt great.
Man, that's awesome though. Yeah, and I saw on the IG, I was like, man, salute. Like, hey, you doing it, you killing it. So I'm always happy to see everyone I've connected with do well. Um,
Uh,
now,
Time for one more question. I got the kids coming back up here.
oh, I got you, man. All right. So um, when it's all said and done, how do you want your legacy to be remembered as?
I wanted to be remembered as like a guy who could do it on the court, but also off the court. Like you never heard my name in any trouble. I've always been that guy to always be help around in the communities, do community service and everything like that. And us that person who always like had like that bright energy and the smile on their face. Never nothing negative about me.
Well, salute to you, Mike. Because yeah, in my time interacting with you, you're a very positive guy, very very down to earth. So I see that you have that impact, and I see you're going to continue to make that impact go further. But I appreciate you so much.
Very
Thank you
appreciate.
for coming on the show. Real briefly, where can the people find you?
Oh, y'all can find me on IG at Michael underscore Ashley with two Y's. And yeah, most of the time I'll be back up in Nashville at Fisk. If y'all ever up there in Nashville, hit me up and we'll go out. You know what I'm saying? Do something.
Hey, look, I've been told about Nashville and Memphis a bunch from different people I know, so I need to get down there and see what's up. But Mike, I greatly appreciate you. Glad that we've been able to connect and stay in touch. This is the end of Chillin' with Dylan, Sports, Music, and Life Takes, episode 10. As always, y'all keep it chill, stay blessed, and stay amazing, and keep supporting the great young people out here who are doing it in the sports world and doing it in the life world. People like Mike Ashley over here. Salute to you, my brother, and I'm excited to see all the greatness you continue to achieve.
Thank you.
Much love and good luck with those kids, man. Too. I know sometimes it ain't always easy.
Yeah, it's rough.
Hey, but you got it though. Look, just remind them. You coach Mike, Coach Ashley. You know, gotta have that same. You might have to ask them though. What's your deepest fear?
Yeah, exactly.
But all right, my brother, much
right.
love. Continue to excel and exceed, and good luck. Good luck with getting your master's as well, too.
Appreciate you.
All right. Stay blessed.